It's one of the great venues in the National Football League as we're at CenturyLink Field in Seattle for the surprising Cincinnati Bengals at 4-2, taking on the 2-4 Seattle Seahawks. And for Seattle, it was a game-time decision. Charlie Whitehurst gets the start today at quarterback, but Travaris Jackson is dressed and can go if necessary. Seattle won the toss. They've deferred to the second half, so the Bengals will have the football to start the game. Marvin Lewis has a chance today to move past Sam Weish as the Bengals all-time winningest head coach. Pete Carroll took the Seahawks to the postseason in his first year after coming over from the college ranks at USC. Lots of new faces. Seattle with one of the youngest teams in the National Football League. Bill McAtee along with Steve Tasker, and we are set to go here in Seattle. The Bengals are trying to win their fourth straight under rookie quarterback Andy Dalton, while the Seahawks are trying to rebound from a tough 6-3 loss last week on the road against Cleveland. And Steve Tasker, it can get noisy here in Seattle.
Yeah, this stadium is known for causing false starts for opposing offenses. It is a monster to come in here and try and win.
And here we go. Tate from the 2. Brings it out across the 25-yard line, and that's where the Bengals will start 1st and 10. And if you had to lock in on one of the reasons for the Bengals' early success, it would be the rookie quarterback Andy Dalton. He's come in, taken over the Cincinnati offense with the command of a veteran. He led fourth-quarter comebacks against Buffalo and Jacksonville, and just before the bye, he completed 78% of his passes for 264 yards and a touchdown in the win over Indy. Bernard Scott in for Cedric Benson, and he's the deep back. Benson serving a one-game suspension. Scott cuts it back inside and is brought down at about the 28-yard line by Brandon Mebane. Cincinnati up front, they've done a good job protecting their young quarterback. Andre Smith, the former first-round pick out of Alabama, has emerged and solidified that spot at right tackle. Backs and receivers, Bernard Scott getting his 3rd career start today for Cedric Benson, who's out with the one-game suspension. And the tight end, Jermaine Gresham, is out. Donald Lee starts for him today. 2nd and 9 for Cincinnati. Bengals opening possession just underway here in Seattle. Right side. Falls forward to the 30-yard line. Seattle defense has been stout. Like Cincinnati, they're talented up front. Clemens and Bryant give you a lot to deal with on the edge. And the linebackers can make all the plays. Hawthorne in the middle is coming off a monster game against Cleveland. And in the secondary, they're thin at cornerback. Richard Sherman gets the start today on the right side. And they have 2 very talented young safeties in Chancellor and Thomas. 3rd down for Cincinnati. Dalton stands in. Complete to Caldwell, and he's got a 1st down.
One of the things about this Cincinnati offense, it has been in this first 6 games of the regular season, Andrew Dalton and the Bengals offense have been able to run when they want and throw when they want. Andy Dalton has really done the best job maybe of any quarterback in the league at staying away from the big mistake, and that has been a huge benefit to this team.
The pickup of 8. Brian Leonard has checked in along with Cedric Pierman. Dalton flushed from the pocket. We've got a flag on the play. It's caught back at the line of scrimmage by Leonard, but let's check the penalty.
Holding, offense, number 77. 10-yard penalty, repeat 1st down.
Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle. Tony Correnti, our referee today.
Yeah, we talked to some of the Seattle defensive linemen about Whitworth, and they maintain, Chris Clemens in particular, maintain that Whitworth is the best tackle he'll face all year. That's how much respect the Seahawks have for that front line of the Bengals offense. Whitworth accepted as one of the real mainstays. He's enormous. He's an enormous guy. Plus, he's got technique and athletic ability that makes him really a tough matchup for most defensive ends.
They're pushing back to the 28-yard line. First and 20 for the Bengals. And here's the crowd. Play clock is running down. They didn't get it off in time.
We got a late flag away from the play.
Pushing and shoving over to the
Jerome Simpson.
Cincinnati sideline.
He got thrown to the ground by the corner. They got tangled up. He got tangled up, it looked like, with Earl Thomas.
Brandon Browner was over there locked up with Simpson, I believe.
Brandon Browner absolutely body slammed Jerome Simpson. And it'll be interesting. I mean, there's no question this should be a penalty on the Seahawks at the end of the play after the delay of game penalty. Jerome Simpson was livid. I thought there was going to be a big fight.
It's going to be an interesting
Prior
matchup.
to the snap of the ball, timeout was called. Cincinnati. This will be their first. The action that concluded, dead ball personal foul, defense number 66, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
No, it wasn't number 66 defensively. And that's a big break for Cincinnati. Watch right here. These two guys are going to keep going after the play. Now the whistle's been blown. Jerome Simpson goes in low and watch the body slam. You can see that the flag comes out immediately, and Jerome Simpson, and then he got thrown off. And that's some guys are going to try and throw a few fists over that one. You can see there, Jerome Simpson gets up. He is not happy.
Browner is a big guy at 6'4". He really is built to play press coverage. And that's going to be a matchup worth watching with Simpson.
It'll be interesting to see these Cincinnati wide receivers match up with these cornerbacks of Seattle. You'll not see a bigger physical set of corners in the NFL than these Seattle corners. Sherman, 6'3", 195. Browner, 6'4", 221. They're like outside linebackers. They are that big. They're impressive.
From the Cincinnati 43-yard line. Movement before the snap.
This is another penalty on Seattle. You know, we spoke early about how tough it is to come in here with the noise. This is an outdoor stadium, and usually outdoor stadiums.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 91. Stepped in the neutral zone, causing an offensive lineman to false start.
Trying to get a quick start.
Remains first down.
There's the 12th man. This stadium is really difficult to come in and play on the road, but unlike usual, it's been the defense of the Seahawks that has gotten the unwarranted penalties in the early going.
So first and 5 now for the Bengals. Play action. Dalton rolling, sets plenty of time. Out into the flat. That's Chris Presley. And Presley is into Seattle territory. Richard Sherman made the stop, and the Bengals are without some key players today for this matchup against the Seahawks. Cedric Benson serving the one-game suspension. Jermaine Gresham was a late scratch, a hamstring issue, and there he is on the sideline. And of course, Ray Malaluga hoping to come back next week against the Titans. Scott stays in the game, I formation. He's the deep back, and he gets it. Left side has some running room. Bernard Scott, and he's got a first down out of bounds at the 35. A pickup of 11. Brandon Browner forced him out finally.
Yeah, it was no surprise that Cedric Benson was not going to be in. They found out early that he would serve a one-game suspension. Bernard Scott had a chance to practice all week, but really the surprise was Jermaine Gresham, the tight end. He was listed as probable on Friday, made the trip out here to Seattle, but then just really decided this morning that he was not going to go today. And I think that was a surprise for a lot of people. I think it was the biggest surprise for Seattle.
From the 35, they keep it on the ground. Nice move by Scott to get to the outside and pick up a few yards down to the 31. Leroy Hill, the outside linebacker, made the tackle. A little bit more about Bernard Scott. 6th-round draft pick out of Abilene Christian, a D2 school, making his 3rd career start today here in his 3rd NFL season. And he has one career 100-yard game against the Raiders in November of 2009. Second and 6 after a pickup of 4. From the 32 of the Seahawks. Down to the 30.
There's no question that Bernard Scott is not Cedric Benson, but he does bring certain things that Cedric Benson does not. He's a much more adept at getting to the edge of the defense, getting wide. Cedric Benson is more of a hammer type runner, and Bernard Scott more of a cutting type runner.
He's been the change of pace back for Cedric Benson. He's a guy who can be explosive if you can get him in space. Third and 5. The Bengals looking to keep this opening drive going. Dalton again flush in the pocket. Leonard fighting his way down inside the 25 for a first down. That will move the chains. A pickup of 7 for the Bengals.
And already we're seeing why Andy Dalton has been so effective. He spreads the football all over. Bernard Scott throwing it to him, spreading it around to a guy like Leonard. Everybody gets into the act for this Cincinnati offense, and it's really been, Marvin Lewis told us yesterday, it's been great because guys know their role. They want to play well in that role so they can get an expanded role. Everybody on this team seems hungry for more action.
5 first downs on this drive for Cincinnati. Scott. Leroy Hill with a nice tackle. And that's a loss of 2.
Yeah, you'll see him come right in, scrapes right off the block of Whitworth, trying to get to the second level, had a hard time getting away from the defensive lineman. It allowed Hill to come right up into the backfield and get Scott. That's how you play defense. Both these teams are pretty darn good against the run, even though Cincinnati's having a pretty good opening drive.
10th play of this opening drive upcoming. Scott in the backfield with Dalton from the shotgun. And we might have had a false start on Andre Smith, the right tackle.
False start. Offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
You can hear the pride that the fans really feel for their ability to affect these games. When they get a false start, it's like the 12th man chalks one up for their team.
So 2nd and 17 now. Dalton, lots of time, and that's caught by Caldwell. Out of bounds near the 20. Good for 10 yards on the play. Cam Chancellor, the strong safety, pushed him out.
Yeah, they spread the field way wide. And what that does, it allows the quarterback to really see the defense better. It just spreads all those guys in the secondary so thin, it becomes easier to see and decipher what their responsibilities are. And once you know which defender is supposed to guard which guy, you kind of get an idea before the snap of where you're supposed to throw it. Andy Dalton made the exact right decision.
Well-balanced drive here from the Bengals. Dalton, again under pressure, again a lead, gets it away. And that's caught by the rookie A.J. Green. Down close to the 16-yard line, dropped immediately by Richard Sherman after a pickup of 5.
And this is a great illustration of why these fans know that they play a role in this game. You take away that false start that the fans caused on Andre Smith, and that's a first down. And all of a sudden, it turns into a field goal try instead of a sustained drive.
From 34 yards out, Mike Nugent, 13 of 14 in field goal tries coming in. And he's got it. So the opening drive for the Bengals ends with 3 points. 12 plays in the drive from Cincinnati, covered 58 yards. And Andy Dalton continues to be impressive here in his rookie season. 5 of 5 on that drive. Nothing seems to faze this young man out of TCU. Leon Washington back deep for Seattle, one of the most dangerous returners in the history of the National Football League. He brings it out from 5 yards deep and upended at about the 16-yard line. So Charlie Whitehurst will go to work when we return to Seattle. And we're back, 6:39 left to go in the first. This is the opening possession for the Seahawks. After the Bengals marched it down, ended up with 3. Marshawn Lynch. And we expect him to see a lot of action today. Charlie Whitehurst had a tough day last week against Cleveland, 12 of 30 for less than 100 yards, an interception and a lost fumble. Seattle going no huddle. One of the things that Pete Carroll wants to do, up-tempo on offense. Whitehurst finally gets rid of it to Rice. He makes a diving catch out close to the 25-yard line, just short. It's going to be a physical day up front. The Seahawks have Max Unger back this week at center. James Carpenter's the rookie, first-round pick out of Alabama. Backs and receivers, they missed Lynch last week. He was a late scratch with back spasms. He's ready to go, and so is the tight end Zach Miller. Mike Williams is inactive. Ben Olamanu is the starting wide receiver in his place. And Whitehurst scrambles to try to get back to the line of scrimmage and doesn't do it, and the Boo Birds are out. It's 3 and out for Cincinnati. Michael Johnson, a defensive end for Cincinnati. Scudo will start from Aluga. And the secondary has performed well. Clements has added a veteran presence. Hall had a pick last week, and Adam Jones is back this week and ready to see his first action. And he's back and retreats to retrieve this punt, which he does at the 12-yard line. Adam Jones! And he's loose! Trying to outrun the punter, who does a tremendous job getting him out of bounds and saving the touchdown. John Ryan, after a 64-yard punt, able to push Adam Jones out of bounds and save the touchdown.
Well, he had to go back way for that punt, and then you see why he's such a weapon. He has not played in a game in 12 months, and he comes back in and snaps off a 64-yard punt return the first time he actually steps onto live action. You see there, he's just not in good enough shape to be there. And it looks like he pulled up with a hammy right there. And that may do it for him for a while, but unbelievable talent is Adam Jones.
After the big return, Scott left side. Nice pickup on first down. A 63-yard return. And did you see Ryan not only trying to push him out of bounds, the punter, but trying to make him fumble, pop the ball loose, and we have a Seahawk down on the field. Chris Clemens, who has had a tremendous early part of the season. 4:42 left to go in the first. Chris Clemens over on the Seattle sideline, checking that left knee, and Pac-Man Adam Jones, formerly Pac-Man, having that hamstring stretched on the Cincinnati sideline. Second and short. Power high formation. Scott. And he's got the first down. Steps out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. And Steve, let's go back and take another look at the play and see if we can see what caused the injury.
And he comes down and just, it's hard to see, and we've seen much worse looking plays than that. He looked like he almost started to get up, so perhaps he got it bent after that, but you can see there, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know the doctor there has got his hands on his left knee. But that doesn't say anything about what the extent or type of injury it could be.
So first and 10 from the 14-yard line. The Bengals lead it 3-0. Dalton to the end zone, touchdown. Jerome Simpson. A 14-yard strike from the rookie Andy Dalton.
Jerome Simpson working against the rookie Sherman. And Dalton really doesn't look anywhere else. Great route. He goes inside release, then pushes Sherman back vertical, and then snaps it off inside. Great throw. Set up by the great return by Adam Jones.
Nugent boots through the extra point. And just like that, the Bengals with a 10-0 lead in the first. We're back at CenturyLink Field in Seattle. Adam Jones, a brilliant 63-yard punt return. He has been out almost exactly 1 year and announces his return emphatically. Washington, 3 yards deep in the end zone, brings it out, trying to answer, and brought down at about the 20-yard line. 63 yards from Adam Jones. Tackled finally by the punter. And that leads to a touchdown strike. Dalton to Simpson. Bengals have been tremendous in the first quarter, outscoring opponents 40-14. This is only the 4th play on offense for the Seahawks. Whitehurst, as they fake the end around, he's going to go deep. Rice, this is almost intercepted, probably should have been. Reggie Nelson had a chance to bring it in and couldn't.
Yeah, and this was not a well-thrown football. Reggie Nelson has a much better chance, and he's going to kick him, so he won't be able to get to sleep tonight. He'll be thinking about missing that interception. And that was Charlie Whitehurst just throwing it up for grabs on first down. Not a good start.
Second and 10 for Seattle. Lynch, good penetration. And he's bottled up immediately by this very aggressive Cincinnati defense, and we have a marker on the play.
Late from the secondary on a running play.
At the conclusion of the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 20 on the defense by a physical act of using his knee against an opponent. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Reggie Nelson.
Well, you'll see right down here, Reggie Nelson, who just dropped that. Yeah, he went down that second little dip after. You can almost get ejected for that. If they would have construed that as a kick, he would be out of the game. Already we've had a couple of personal fouls, one on each team.
Golden Tate was the man he was locked up with.
Seahawks having trouble getting their people lined up and the right personnel on the field.
So that gives Seattle a first down. Lynch. And the Bengals just swarming to the football, led by Manny Lawson.
On the last 2 plays, the Bengals have had guys closer to Marshawn Lynch than Charlie Whitehurst. Watch right there. You see Lawson just pops out of nowhere, and that was after Lynch had to avoid the inside penetration the first time. A play ago, Pat Sims was in the backfield as well. This Cincinnati front 4 is all over the offensive line of the Seahawks.
Second and 11, Whitehurst play action. Has a man, that's caught. Zach Miller is tied in, and he's into Cincinnati territory, and that brings the crowd to life.
Yeah, and that's the best play the Seahawks have had in 2 weeks. Zach Miller back in the lineup, missed a game in the bye week because of a concussion.
Good for 17. Seahawks up and moving in a hurry. Whitehurst buying some time, caught by Rice, and that was a nice play by the quarterback. Rice coming back to the football.
Yeah, it was a nice play by the quarterback. He was even nicer by Sidney Rice. Sidney Rice was way down the field on a go route. He saw Whitehurst roll out, stopped, and came back and was waving to Whitehurst, and Whitehurst finally sees him. Sidney Rice, a great job. You got to keep coming if you're a wide receiver because the defensive back's chasing you. If you stop for a moment, it turns into an interception.
Leon Washington has checked in from the 34-yard line. Whitehurst blindsided, but somehow was able to hang on to the football. Chris Crocker.
Oh, that was a bad one. Whitehurst is up, but he had to climb to his feet. I mean, he was down, and you could tell that shook him up a minute. That's tough to come back on a 2nd and 15 now. Gather yourself from the shotgun. This is when you want to get under center and hand it off, but no such luxury out of the no huddle.
Washington inside running down to the 32-yard line, a pickup of 6.
This is one of the drawbacks with the no huddle. Sometimes you only have enough time to get 1 or 2 things called, and your protection sometimes gets caught not looking for that. And sometimes if you're in that no huddle and things happen so fast, your offensive linemen don't make one extra adjustment, and they don't expect a more exotic defense than that one they just saw. Mike Zimmer dialing in some pressure on a quick snap by the Seahawks.
Seattle facing 3rd and long. Whitehurst under pressure again, keeps his feet. They have a flag down the play. Rice can't bring it in.
Well, the crowd wanted an interference down the field.
Holding offense number 75. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
Now, Chris Crocker was tied up with Sidney Rice when that ball went up for grabs, and they were down in the end zone, but the hold came back against the right tackle, James Carpenter. Right in front, working right there against Carlos Dunlap. You see him wrap his arm right around and pull the guy down, pull Dunlap down, and Charlie Whitehurst buys some time and launches it deep into the end zone.
Dunlap in his 2nd NFL season after an outstanding career at Florida, 8 sacks in his last 6 games last season, and they really like what this young man brings to the defense. So they push him back 10 yards, 3rd and 19 for Seattle. They run the slant to Obamanu, and he's swarmed under at about the 28-yard line. Kelly Jennings was the first man there, the former Seattle Seahawk, after a pickup of 14 yards.
And that was a big play. It gives him a chance for the field goal.
So that's the end of the first quarter with our score 10-0 Bengals. Will return after these messages. You're watching the NFL. Stephen Hauska on to try a field goal as we start the 2nd quarter. This will be from 47 yards out.
And this is not an easy kick today. It's swirling winds down there.
He came in 6 of 7 in field goal tries, including 2 from 50-plus.
Oh, I can't believe he hit that. It's a terrible hold, and he got it.
So the Seahawks are on the board. Just underway in the 2nd. 10-3 Cincinnati. Tavares Jackson was warming up on the Seahawks sideline. He will be able to go today if Pete Carroll makes that decision. Tate 4 yards deep in the end zone. Brought down short of the 15-yard line. Keith Farwell made the tackle.
Yeah, he did a nice job on that coverage.
Andy Dalton ready to go back to work.
That was great coverage by Farwell. I know I'm one of the few people who have an appreciation for that kind of thing. But it's a big play, tackling inside the 15 on the 20. Gives Cincinnati an offense that's really been playing well offensively. Now they have a longer field, all because of a great special teams play.
1st and 10 from the 14. Play action. They tried to throw it back, and now the ball is loose, and Dalton falls on it. Tried to bring it back in, and it slipped from his hand.
There's a lot of things happening on this. The play is snapped off right there. Watch, Dalton looks, that's covered. Now watch what happens now. He pulls it down, and it hits. That's a huge play. The referee, the umpire saved him. That's a backward pass, and he's got to get on it. That's not an incomplete pass. It's a fumble because it goes backwards, whether he tried to tuck it or not.
And that could have ended up in the end zone.
And now they're going to go. Now, see, they are calling it a tuck rule.
That's motion is calling. Therefore, it's ruled a forward pass.
Oh, he did rule it a forward pass, even though it was a tuck rule. And that's an enormous break for Cincinnati. I knew that. Now watch, when he tries to throw this out there and pull it back, that's a tuck rule, just like it would be if it was a sack fumble. That goes as an incomplete pass, even though the pass went backward. Pete Carroll's not happy about it, but that's the way the rule reads. And that's where the rule makes absolutely no sense. The tuck rule was put in to keep it from being a cheap fumble, which is exactly what that would have been. But in my mind, if you're going to throw the football backwards, even if it's a mistake, that's just like a pitch or a fumble backward. And
or a lateral.
Andy Dalton knows it. He feels it too. You got to get on it. It's a reflex action. When you play in the backyard.
Second down, ruling on the field will stand.
When you play in the backyard at any other level of football, that is a live ball, but not so in the National Football League. But that's where, as a football player, instincts take over. And that's one of the poor rule. I think it's over officiated in the National Football League. Now they're supposed to call that, no question, but I think you legislate bad things like that out of the game. I think it's a mistake to have a rule like that in.
So after all of that, it's just an incomplete pass. They bring it back out to the 14-yard line. Leonard tries to muscle his way for extra yardage. Out to the 17 in week 4 against Buffalo. Andy Dalton fumbled after being sacked by Chris Kelsey. Wyatt Scott returned it for a touchdown. But after being reviewed, the call was changed to an incomplete pass because of the tuck rule. And of course, the Bengals went on to win that game. Dalton on the move. And he'll run out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
Yeah, and you think about that, that was not a good series for the Cincinnati offense, as they're going to be forced on a 3 and out for the first time. And you go back to the good kick coverage. You got him inside the 15, put a little pressure on him. Then the bad play by Dalton, the incomplete pass, although even though it was incomplete pass, the defenders for Seattle had that play called completely defended. Dalton had nowhere to go with the football, so either way, it was a bad play, and it ended up in a great series defensively for the Seahawks.
Kevin Huber on the punt it, his first punt of the day, and this is a beauty. Washington retreats back to the 21. And a nice return out to the 35-yard line. Manny Lawson made the stop after a 14-yard return. And the Bengals, after this tuck rule call, able to breathe a sigh of relief. We're back. The Seahawks have been tough to figure out. They've looked good at times this season. Other times they've struggled. And Pete Carroll tried to throw the challenge flag, but that call was not challengeable. First and 10 from the 35-yard line. Short drop for Whitehurst. Falls forward for a yard. Pecco made the stop.
Yeah, you talk about Charlie Whitehurst and the fact that he really did struggle last week against Cleveland. We spoke to him. He admitted it. I mean, he stood up and took responsibility for it. You know, he held on to the ball too long. He didn't have any answer for the pressure he faced. He knew he had to play better today.
Lynch. Remember, a week ago, they did not have Marshawn Lynch. Late scratch because of a back spasm that he suffered during pregame warm-ups.
Yeah, they didn't have Zach Miller either, and they also didn't have the center, Max Unger. I mean, you talk about Tavares Jackson, that's 4 starters that were out of the lineup last week.
3rd and 7. Incomplete. It'll be 3 and out. Rice was the intended receiver. Back shoulder, couldn't bring it in.
You'd like to see Sidney Rice catch this one. Maybe he could have been thrown better. But that's some frustration right there. That's the right decision, the right throw, and Whitehurst needed some help.
Brandon Tate is back deep. After the injury to Adam Jones, he'll have some room to return this from the 16-yard line. And spun down at the 23. 12:29 left to go in the half. 10-3 Bengals. Charlie Whitehurst over talking to Sidney Rice, trying to get on the same page. Charlie came in the third quarter against the Giants and was solid. That was not the case last week in the start against Cleveland. Bengals ball, 1st and 10. Scott can't get to the edge. Leebane made the stop. Well, get scores and manage CBS Sports Fantasy Football teams on your mobile phone. To get the free app, simply call *CBS or go to cbssports.com/mobile.
Seattle getting a better handle on the running game of Cincinnati. They know Bernard Scott is an edge runner, and they're doing a much better job of racing to the sideline and getting there before he does.
Oh, fall out! Razor! Try to spread him out on 2nd down. Dalton underneath. And that's caught by Donald Lee. Pick up of 4 yards. Lee spent the last 6 seasons in Green Bay before signing with the Bengals before week 2, and he has brought a nice veteran presence to the tight end position. He came in with only 2 catches, has been used primarily as a blocker, but Jermaine Gresham was a scratch today. He's on the sideline. 3rd and 6. Leonard in the backfield with Dalton. From the shotgun. Dalton, good protection. He's going to dive for the 1st down, and we have a flag near close to the 40-yard line. And now a late flag, a couple of them coming in.
Well, they're giving Andy Dalton the 35-yard line. I thought he was well short of that.
The ruling on the field, the quarterback gave himself up. The play is dead here.
Well, I thought they gave him an enormously generous spot. There's Andre Caldwell, and you see Marvin.
It's Brandon Browner.
Is a penalty. I'll tell you what, that's almost, if they see it the way that looks like, that could be an ejection as well, because you can't strike a player open-handed or closed-fisted. Even if you don't make contact, it's an automatic ejection.
Against both teams on this play that will offset. Holding, offense, number 63. Personal foul, defense, number 87. And holding, defense, number 25. By rule, these penalties all offset. Replay, 3rd down.
Oh, they didn't call that on Caldwell. He got away with it.
4 different flags on the field and 3 penalties.
There's the hold right there. No question on Williams. And that right there, that to me is an ejection. And here's the other hold right here. They're trying. Yeah, boy, there's a lot of stuff going on in that play.
3rd and 6 after all of that. Dalton gets rid of it incomplete at the feet of Andre Caldwell.
And we've done Cincinnati a few times this year. That's as bad a throw as I've seen Andy Dalton make. He didn't step into it. He short-armed it, and it landed about 5 yards short, and he knows it.
Back-to-back 3 and outs for Cincinnati.
That play was open, and Cincinnati couldn't execute it.
Huber standing back at his own 13-yard line. Ready to punt it away to Leon Washington, who's at the Seattle 20. Short kick. And out of bounds. 10:41 left to go in the half. 10-3 Bengals. And the Seattle offense has been a little scary, so Tavares Jackson has come in, and he'll take over. This last week with the pectoral injury from the 28-yard line. Hands it off to Lynch. The ball is loose. Scramble for it.
Well, it looked bad from the outset. Tavares Jackson.
And the Bengals have it.
Yeah, Tavares Jackson turned around and he was going to hand it off in one direction, and Marshawn Lynch took it from the other direction. He had to change in mid-stride. It looked like they still got it done, but Lynch, as soon as he stepped into traffic, lost it.
Jabril Wilson, the safety, finally came away with it.
You can see there those two are having a conversation. Jackson turned around to hand it off, and he thought Lynch was coming to the other side of him. See there, and they ran into each other, and Lynch did get a handle on it, and then he was stripped.
So we'll see if the Bengals can take advantage of the turnover. From the 31-yard line of Seattle, Dalton checks it down to Scott. Flag down on the play. Scott to the 26-yard line.
You can see there it's going to be a hold.
Holding, offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Andre Smith, former first-round pick out of Alabama, the right tackle.
You see Marshawn Lynch. Just another look at the fumble. You see Tavares Jackson going to hand it off to his left as he turns around, and Lynch goes to the other side, and that ball is out immediately.
Move it back to the 41-yard line. Scott, and another flag. Scott unable to get to the outside. Nice job by Earl Thomas, the free safety.
Yeah, I think this may be on Andrew Whitworth once again, working against Red Bryant.
Holding, offense, number 63. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That was actually against Bobby Williams down inside. That's the second time he's been flagged.
A couple of big penalties, and that moves them all the way back to the Cincinnati 49-yard line.
Yeah, working against Allen Branch. Yeah, they don't like it. That's first and 30 is never a good thing.
Dalton. Lots of time. Now finally it runs out. Gets rid of it, and that's a catch. A.J. Green, and let's send you to New York now for an update. Here's J.B.
Hey, Bill, we expected a tight one in Pittsburgh. So far it is, Shannon.
Coach said no mistakes, Ben. He makes the first mistake. Garrett Guyton picks him off, runs this ball back. Tom Brady throws a touchdown to Deion Branch, 10-7, 5:46 left in the half.
Hey, I asked Coach Cowher. He said he has no plays for first and 30 either. Back to Bill and Steve.
Thanks, guys. Two teams that have played in 7 of the last 10 Super Bowls. We'll keep you updated on that, and Dalton takes a timeout. This Seattle defense can force a lot of mistakes.
Well, you really don't get any idea of how bad it is. You really don't think about it coming in here. The Bengals come in. They use noise to distract them during practice. They got used to going with silent count and no count during practice. But once you get in here, the noise isn't so much of a communication problem. It's a distraction. I mean, you can't even think when you get down there on the field and you're trying to sort things out. And that's how, and you get up there and you got too much to deal with, and so let's take a timeout and take a rest. I mean, it really is a distraction as much as it is a detriment to communication.
There were blaring loudspeakers on the sideline all week long in practice. Andy said they can go all silent with the count and the play calling if they need to. They felt they were ready to deal with the noise today. And this crowd wants to prove them wrong. 2nd and 21. And they stop play before the snap. And the Seahawks take a timeout.
Timeout, Seattle. This is their first. This is a 30-second timeout.
Seattle with 2 timeouts remaining. Well, it doesn't get any better than this. Some are calling it the game of the century as top-ranked LSU takes on number 2 Alabama. Saturday in prime time, right here on CBS Sports.
I know we're both NFL guys, but I'm watching that one. that is something I gotta see, that game.
1 and 2, and a lot of ex-players. There's Andre Smith, who played at Alabama. Andre Whitworth, who played at LSU. Andrew Whitworth, rather.
Yes, there are a few players from those two teams sprinkled about the NFL.
Just a couple. 2nd and 21. Dalton under pressure. Clements had great penetration. He gets it out to Scott. And Scott trying to fight his way back to the line of scrimmage. Hawthorne made the tackle after a pickup of 1.
Well, this is one of the things we've seen from Dalton. He has great pocket presence. Gets rid of the football, but still for no gain. Scott barely able to get back to the line of scrimmage. He was shadowed there by Hawthorne.
Clements coming off back-to-back 2-sack games against the Giants and Cleveland. 3rd and a ton. Dalton wasn't ready for the snap. Incomplete. Simpson dropped it.
The pressure the Seahawks are bringing is really giving Cincinnati a lot of fits. They've had a bunch of holding calls. Dalton is having trouble now just getting the snap because of the noise. Cincinnati, after getting off to a pretty good start, is starting to struggle mightily offensively, and it has to do with the pressure up front and the noise of this stadium. Those two things are conspiring to really stall the Cincinnati offense.
We'll see Huber again, 4th and 20. High end-over-end kick. Fair catch made by Washington at the 11. Follow the NFL while on the go. The NFL's mobile apps are all new for the 2011 season. To get the apps, go to NFL.com/mobile. Morris Jackson back in the game. He's been out with a strained pectoral muscle on his right side. He felt better and better as the week went on. He took a lot of reps when we were at practice on Friday. In his 6th year out of Alabama State, came over from the Vikings. Rolling out and throws it away. And it looked like another miscommunication with Lynch.
Yeah, that did not look good at all.
The injury occurred in week 5 against the Giants. Came on that 3rd quarter run. He was replaced by Charlie Whitehurst in this last week's game against the Browns.
And that was a pectoral injury, and you and I were standing right on the sidelines as he came out and began to throw. And he threw with pretty good velocity. He had some zip on it, but every so often he'd throw it, and then he would reach up and just touch on his upper pec muscle on his throwing arm as if, he kind of felt it. So you wonder how durable he'll be able to be.
2nd and 10. Short drop, under pressure, gets rid of it. Incomplete. Intended for Rice.
Second drop for Rice.
And the Seahawks really need Rice to be an impact part of their offense. He didn't make his first catch last week until midway through the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and that's him. He knows it. I mean, that's on Sidney Rice. He's got to pull that in. That would have ended up being a 3rd and 1. Now it's a 3rd and 10. It could have been a first down if he'd have just caught it and ducked upfield. Drops kill you as a quarterback and an offense.
Chested Forsett is in the backfield with Jackson. They come in the corner blitz to Rice. He's got some running room. Rice dives forward. He's got a first down. Nice second effort. Now they're going to spot him about a yard short.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was a poor spot myself. And if you want to see about a challenge, this is one where Pete Carroll might think about it. He'll get a look at the replay to see exactly where that ball is extended to before he's down.
Was his knee down short of the mark?
Oh, I think he got it. I think that's a challenge that Pete Carroll should make.
We have not had a first down in this quarter by either team.
I think there's no question. He got well past the 21-yard line, almost to the 22. They spotted him at the 20 and a half. I think this is where you've got to challenge the spot of that. You can do that if you're going to gain it. There you go. I think he's going to win this challenge as well. There's no question. I think Sidney Rice made a phenomenal effort. And you can understand why after the earlier drop, he's going to do everything he can to get it. But he did extend and stay airborne past the line to gain.
So they'll review the play.
Challenging the ruling on the field as related to a first down.
7:18 left to go in the half. It's 10-3 Bengals. We're back waiting the outcome of the challenge.
Now, if you want to know where he has to get, he's got to get to the 21, which is the center of the 2 up here. You see that? He's well past it. And if you know how the fields are marked, the center of these digits that mark the numbers are 1 yard. And he was well past that. So you don't even need to see the sideline marker to know that he was well past it.
6'4", and he can really stretch it out.
After the play, the runner was down beyond the line to gain. It will be Seattle's ball, first down at the 21 and 1 quarter-yard line.
Good challenge by Pete Carroll.
That'll make you forget about a drop. That'll get you back on track as an offense and as a player individually. You make a good effort like that, now you're back on track and you feel like you can do something. And that's exactly what the Seahawks needed right in that moment.
Pro Bowl receiver, big offseason signing by Seattle. Had just 9 catches for 155 yards in the Seahawks' last 3 games. They need to get him active. Lynch, right side, bottled up. Swarming Bengals defense.
Oh, man. Carlos Dunlap blew this whole play up. The fans don't like it because Lynch lost his helmet. Lawson might have made that tackle, but Carlos Dunlap made this play right at the snap. He pushed McCoy, the tight end, blocking him right back into Marshawn Lynch's face and allowed Lawson to get the play. Lynch had nowhere to run to.
A loss of 3. So 2nd and 13 on the 19-yard line. Lynch stutter step, nowhere to go. Bengals defense has come to play.
They are simply refusing to let Seattle run the football.
Dunlap and Pecco combined to make the stop, and they're looking good even without Ray Maualuga.
They are getting absolute penetration. You see there, Dunlap stands up Robert Gallery on the trap block, and Gallery can't get it kicked out. Tremendous play up front. Carlos Dunlap is having a great series.
Forsett has checked in. 3rd and long. 3rd and 13 for Seattle. Jackson, incomplete. Miller, the intended receiver.
Well, there's another drop. Jackson stands in the pocket extremely well right here, and that's right up in his grill. You got to pull that in. I mean, that ball got there pretty quick. He didn't look ready for it, but man, that looked like a well-timed, well-thrown football.
Ryan on the punt. Booming punt. Tate retreats back to the 18-yard line. Flags come in as he's brought down at the 30. That was a 64-yard punt.
During the return of the kick, illegal block in the back, receiving team, number 81, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, it's coming right at the bottom, right down here, working his Farwell, and that's not much of a block. And Cincinnati or Seahawks fans will be a little bit rolling their eyes at that after they lost a touchdown return last week to a phantom block in the back.
They called that on Colin Koshart, backup tight end. Scott out close to the 20. KJ Wright, the linebacker, made the stop. And coming up on the Sprint halftime report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from Week 8. That's all coming up on a busy day on the Sprint halftime report. Scott 10 carries, 33 yards. That was good for 3. 2nd and 7 for Cincinnati inside of 5 minutes remaining in the half. Brian Leonard is the deep back. They run the slant. That's caught by Green, and he's close to a first down. Sherman made the tackle after a pickup of 7.
You talk about the personality of this game and what these teams expect. Both these clubs defensively are very good against the run, as we've seen. And if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you're playing offense, this may be the game of the season for Marvin Lewis to look at Andy Dalton and say, you know what, kid, it's time for you to step up and carry us for a game. We're going to ask more of you offensively this week because they're going to be a good run team, good run defense team, and we need you to carry it. And their offense has been just bad enough for us not maybe to risk as much letting you do it.
Just short.
I don't mean that as a disrespect to Seattle's offense. I'm just saying with the number 2 defense overall in the league, Cincinnati feels like maybe for the first time this season, that guy right there can put the team on his shoulders.
Andy Dalton has impressed a lot of his teammates with his poise and the way that nothing seems to get to him. Thomas Howard says he just has a command of the position. He was born to play quarterback. And now we hear from the 12th man here in Seattle. 3rd and inches. Brian Leonard is alone in the backfield. Oh, now we got movement before the snap.
It's got encroachment on the defense, so they jumped off, and that's exactly the wrong thing. You'd think it was
encroachment defense, 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
That's a big man, Red Bryant.
That's horrible discipline for a defense. You're at home. See, nobody moved for Cincinnati. That's totally on Red Bryant, and it's a good call by the official, and that's a bad play by a pretty good football player.
Bryant with 2 blocked field goals last week. He was all over the field against Cleveland. Leonard dives forward to the 35-yard line, a pickup of 4.
Yeah, I said a bad play by a pretty good football player. Actually, it was a bad play by a really good football player. When that was a crucial down on a 3rd and 1, you don't jump offside.
4th year out of Texas A&M, a 4th-round pick in 2008. His father-in-law is the great Jacob Green, who is in the Ring of Honor here in Seattle. 2nd and 6 for the Bengals. They lead it by 7. Lost it and incomplete. Green was the intended receiver, and he was well covered by Richard Sherman, who started today at left corner with Marcus Trufant and Walter Thurman both out. Late for Marvin Lewis at the Senior Bowl. Andy Dalton's reaction.
Yep. Sherman, the 5th-round draft choice of the team this year, getting a chance, and he falls into that prototype that the Seahawks want in their defensive backfield. A big, tall, physical guy, 6'3", and can run.
3rd and 6. They bring it. Incomplete. Green was in the intended receiver, and now we have a flag.
Yeah, 2
and a second one comes in. Brandon Browner had the coverage. It's going to be against the Seahawks.
Yeah, both the side judge and the line judge threw those flags.
Pass interference, defense number 39, contact, not playing the ball. Automatic, first down.
Yeah, it's so difficult. It's become in vogue in the NFL to throw that back shoulder where the defensive back's running down the sideline with the receiver, and the quarterback really just basically throws it to the receiver's back, right at his back. You see that Browner's got his hand on the receiver, and just, you don't play the football, that's a penalty. You have to play the ball.
So from the 49-yard line, 3:09 left to go in the half. Dalton finally gets it back to Scott.
Wow. Well-disciplined Seahawk defense there. We spoke about Bernard Scott being one of those guys that's better on the edges of the defense. That's one of those funky little plays that they put in just for him. It looked like a quick screen over to the right of the offense, and then it turned into a slow screen on the left, and the defense of Seattle was all over it. That is a great job by the front seven of the Seahawks to filter out all the fakes and misdirection and still defend that play.
Saw the shot of Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator, who's done a fine job with the Seahawks. A loss of 1 on the play, 2nd and 11. Dalton gets rid of it, incomplete. And that was over the head of Brian Leonard.
And that came out on time. Dalton ended up in the grasp of Red Bryant. The pocket collapsed on him, and that's one of the things. Even if you don't get a sack, you still got to make the quarterback believe he's got to get rid of it. And Dalton threw that one, I think, a hair before he really wanted to, and certainly before the receiver was ready for it.
So the Bengals facing a 3rd and long with 2.5 minutes left to play in the first half. They lead 10-3. Dalton, they run the screen. That's to Donald Lee, the tight end, and he's got a first down for Cincinnati. Down to the 38-yard line.
Great play call. Only a 3-man rush, and you throw it to your tight end, who's actually only in the game because the starter is out. Jermaine Gresham didn't suit up.
Pick up of 14 and good for a first down as we've reached the 2-minute warning. Bengals lead it 10-3. Seattle with only 9:25 in time of possession. They had only 17 minutes with the football last week against Cleveland. And now the Bengals are threatening from the Seattle 38-yard line. Flag before the snap.
Yeah, Andre Smith moved. This is one of those penalties.
Offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
It's one of those penalties you get in this stadium. A lot of.
Seventh penalty on the Bengals for 65 yards. The Seahawks have 5 penalties for 50.
Seahawks coming out of the 2-minute warning, spread out with 5 wide receivers. Now they go with 2 backs and a tight end. Completely different personnel grouping on 1st and 15.
From the 43-yard line of the Seahawks. Play action. Dalton gets rid of it. Green, touchdown. A.J. Green. Wow. 43 yards.
And at one point, just before Dalton let this go, it looked like it was doomed to failure. And then Green turns up on the double move deep, right over the top of Earl Thomas. Wow.
His 5th receiving touchdown of the year. Nugent with the extra point. And it is a 17-3 Cincinnati lead. The strength from Dalton to Green, rookie to rookie. Bengals in control. 17-3, and we were just saying how the Seattle defense had done a good job on Green. 3 catches for 20 yards, and then this.
Right there, A.J. Green He's going to go up. Watch him fake the crossing route right there, and then boom, puts his foot in the ground and runs right by Thomas. And the perfect throw from Dalton, who it looked like right before he released it was going to get crushed in the pocket and ends up throwing a perfect 43-yard touchdown.
He did a good job buying a little extra time. Washington brings it out. Leon Washington, look out. Out across the 35-yard line. Brought down by Kelly Jennings. And coming up with the Sprint halftime report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from Week 8. That's all coming up on the Sprint halftime report. So Tavares Jackson in at quarterback for Seattle to start at his own 35-yard line. 1:44 left to play in the half. To the sideline. Rice. Catching out of bounds.
Jackson, we spoke to Pete Carroll yesterday, said this guy, Tavares Jackson, is much more adept at running a no-huddle than most quarterbacks. He thinks it's his strength, and you can see why they want to go with it more often than not.
Flush from the pocket. Throws it away. Dunlap had the pressure.
Both these teams take their cue from their defenses. Certainly the Bengals are doing that in the number 2 defense in the league, and the Bengals is, of course, getting the great play from their front four. In both these offenses, you see there Mike Zimmer. Talk to Marvin Lewis about Zimmer and their ability to defend a no-huddle. And they say, well, we expected because we saw the Seahawks run a lot last week against Cleveland, so we wanted to make sure we had a long menu of defenses we could call if they run the no-huddle. And you can see now they dialed up pressure for a sack earlier in the half.
3rd and 4. This is caught with some running room. Obamanu down to the 25-yard line. Leon Hall finally brought him down.
Yeah, he might want been nice to get out of bounds, but with a minute 22 and counting it for a minute 11 now, that's still plenty of time inside the 30.
32 yards on the play. Jackson lofts it toward the end zone, and Rice, they were battling all the way down the sideline. Leon Hall and Sidney Rice. No flag.
So Leon, the only thing that scared Marvin Lewis, and you see there as he looks back for the ball, everything's fine after that. The only thing that scared Marvin Lewis about this game was his defense's propensity to every once in a while go off the air and give up the big play. No question the Bengals defense has been spectacular at times this year, but they have given up too many plays that turned into touchdowns.
And another penalty.
Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
John Moffitt, the rookie right guard. And both of these defensive fronts make you want to try to get a little bit of an edge. And we're seeing that in these false start penalties.
And the holding penalties as well.
2nd and 15 after they move him back 5. From the 32. Just over a minute left in the half. Jackson. And that is caught a nice one-handed grab by Baldwin. And popped out of bounds at the 10. They mark it at the 11. Reggie Nelson finally brought him down. He's an exciting player. That was good for 21 yards.
Yeah, for people who don't watch Seahawks too much, you talk about A.J. Green, what a great rookie campaign he has had. Baldwin is having every bit of that here in Seattle. He has been a great find for this Seahawk offense.
Cincinnati, this is their 3rd and final timeout of the first half.
Bengals use their final timeout. Halloween night. The star of A Nightmare on Elm Street comes to Hawaii 5-0. It'll be a blast tomorrow, only CBS. Tim Burton would be proud.
Yeah, I like the earphones. You know, you're playing in Seattle. Everybody's got to have earphones on, even that, of course. Yeah, the noise.
Those probably are noise canceling headphones.
I'm pretty sure he's not on a headphone with the coaching booth.
We're listening to some tunes.
What do you put on the iPod for that, you know?
Seahawks down by 14, but threatening here near the end of the opening half. Tavares Jackson has taken over at quarterback. And he is sacked. Frosty Rucker. Frosty Rucker, who played for Pete Carroll at USC, finally healthy, and he has been a presence.
Did the loop around, did the exchange inside the defensive tackles. They ran the switch, and Rucker comes clean.
2nd and 20. They set up the screen to Forsett. Nice move by Justin Forsett. He's down inside the 10 to the 8-yard line.
Yeah, they took a timeout. Good job by Pete Carroll. Right out on the field, wanting that timeout as soon as the play was over.
14 seconds remaining.
That gives them the opportunity to maybe take a shot at the end zone for sure. Great call on the screen pass, and right there Forsett, the extra move, gets down inside the 10. That's one of the, I'll tell you, clock management is one of the most underrated art forms in coaching. You really have to have a feel for it because it's so unpredictable at the end of the games, because you don't know if that player is going to go out of bounds, if he's going to stay in bounds. You really have to be ahead of it, and so many coaches get caught once in a while costing their team valuable moments because they're not ready with the timeout. Pete Carroll did an outstanding job, ran clear out halfway to the numbers to get that timeout called.
The Seahawks can still get a first down. They get it down to the 1. 19 seconds left. Jackson from the empty backfield. That's caught short of a first down. Zach Miller, the tight end.
That brings up a 4th and 2 from the 3. Now you got a decision to make. A field goal is 17-6. That's really not very satisfying for a team trying to get a win, and you're going to go for it. Now, you can get a first down, no question, but with 14 seconds left, what good's it going to do you? I agree with it.
.14 seconds. The last play took 5 seconds.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's going to take a timeout. He wants to talk it over. They got the break when he went out of bounds. The clock stopped anyway, but now they've got to talk about what their options are. Run, pass. If you run it, that's going to end it because you're not going to have enough time to get unstacked and get the ball snapped. Even if you get the first down, you may run out of time. You won't be able to spike it. If you don't get it, you turn it over on downs, and it's all for nothing. Huge decision here for Seattle's coaching staff. They're sending Jackson back out on the field. They're not going to settle for 3. It looks like, unless they try. Well, even if they get a dummy play where they try and draw the Bengals off sides, it's still half the distance. It wouldn't be a first down anyway. It'd be on the 1.5-yard line. Although it would give them a chance to get a first.
4th and 2.
It takes a lot of courage to make this call for Pete Carroll.
And here we go.
There's only one result that won't result in second guessing.
Lynch. Short. They're scrambling to try to get the snap off.
Now they're not going to do it. 1 time's out. Half is over. Half is over.
And Pete is hot.
Yeah, there's no question the Bengals stayed down on Lynch and wouldn't let him get up. Watch the pileup. The Bengals know all they got to do is delay the snap enough. Now, he did not get in. Now, watch. They'll lay on him, not give him the football, and then when the ball does come out, the Bengals bat it away from the official as though they thought it was a loose ball. It's total acting. but they kicked this ball. See the ball down inside there. The ball comes loose very late. It was really close to a score, but it didn't appear that he got in. If you let it run right here, you'll watch, see, he didn't get in, but then the ball comes loose right down here. He extends it, and then watch. The Bengals will bat it away. See, they bat it away, and see, so the officials won't be able to spot it. They're holding everybody down, won't get the ball snapped. They know that. And the officials let it go.
They had enough for the first down, and Pete Carroll went over to conference with the officials.
If they would have, you know what, if they'd have called that play before they had the timeout, they would have been able to run it and then call the timeout, but they had wasted that last timeout.
They had no timeouts remaining, so we've reached halftime here in Seattle. 17-3 Bengals. 17-3 Cincinnati. As we're back in Seattle, Bill McAtee and Steve Tasker, your thoughts on the opening half?
Well, the Cincinnati Bengals are exactly the team that they've been all year. They're a good team, solid defensively, and they're getting better every week offensively. The difference in this game was the long touchdown pass to A.J. Green and really the penalties. But for Seattle, their offense really kind of came to life in that 2-minute drill. It looked like, for the first time, Tarvaris Jackson seemed comfortable. They made some plays when they needed to. They even overcame some setbacks with penalties. So I think that's the thing you can look for, more of that 2-minute drill here in the second half from the Seahawks.
And let's take a look at our mobile recap presented by Verizon. And the play is Andy Dalton to A.J. Green that you mentioned, Steve, a 43-yard touchdown pass in that game. The Bengals a 17-3 lead, and the defense was able to stiffen with Seattle threatening at the close of the first half. Seahawks will have the football to start the second half. Nugent's kick. Brought out by Washington. Able to keep his feet and dives forward close to the 28-yard line.
Yeah, I think one of the things, if you go by what we spoke to Pete Carroll about on Friday, this is a team, he wants to let this offense evolve into something that nobody else does in the league. They want to keep a fast-paced, no-huddle approach. It worked in that 2-minute drill. Tarvaris Jackson's very good at it. It's one of the things he does best, and it gives them some things if they can make first downs.
Saw that graphic. The first half has not been kind to the Seattle Seahawks this season. Short drop from Jackson out toward the sideline. Baldwin is dropped immediately. Leon Hall, the cornerback, with the tackle.
And they are on the football, ready to snap it. Tarvaris Jackson using hand signals and play calls to try and snap this ball. We'll see how fast they snap it, whether it's hurry up or whether it's kind of a slow down offense.
Second and 6, just underway in the second half here in Seattle. Bengals trying to win their 4th straight. They lead by 14. Jackson up the sideline, incomplete. Just out of the reach of Sidney Rice.
Yeah, and that was a throw that Rice couldn't pull in. He tried to, and Tarvaris Jackson put it out there where he wanted it, but right there you see Leon Hall thought it was going to be another one of those back shoulder throws. He kind of let up, and it gave separation to Rice, but the throw was just off target.
Charlie Whitehurst started, lasted a couple of series, and then Tarvaris Jackson came in.
I think it's telling as well here on 3rd down. They're going to huddle up and make sure they get everything set up just the way they want it.
3rd and 6, just underway in the second half here in Seattle. Jackson with time, guns it, that's caught. Out to the 46-yard line. And that was the tight end, Cameron Mora. A good pickup of 13 yards on the play. They spotted at the 45.
This is where they go no huddle, and they're going to try and quick snap it, get a quick first down.
Here they come on the blitz. Jackson with time, but throws it away. Golden Tate was in the area. Well covered by the veteran Nate Clements.
And Jackson getting after his front line guys up there, wanting something different than what he saw offensively. He's not happy with the way that play turned out. He had to throw that football away. And then with the incompletion, of course, they go huddle up, call the play, and will come out. That kind of kills the momentum with the incompletion.
From the shotgun on 2nd and 10. Wide receiver set. Out to Washington, incomplete. And Jackson frustrated.
Still chirping there. And that ball's got to be caught. You see there, Leon Washington just can't pull it in. Jackson made a nice throw, nice decision. Doesn't like the fact that when he lets that ball go, somebody's hitting him.
4th drop pass today.
Yep. Tuesday.
3rd and 10 for Seattle. And another flag.
That Carpenter jumped.
False start. Offense, number 75. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Rookie out of Alabama. He had a couple of false start penalties last week, but the Seahawks in general are happy with how he's improving week to week.
Yeah, and that, there's no question James Carpenter is going to be the right tackle for the Seahawks for probably as long as he wants to be. But when you go no huddle and you're trying to draw the defense off sides, it takes a little bit of time to learn how to do it and do it effectively and do it consistently.
He was the 25th pick overall, so 3rd and 15 for Seattle. Jackson. And he threw it in between Golden Tate and Sidney Rice. So we'll see the punting unit.
And he's frustrated. Jackson is really frustrated at this. See, look, he's looking at the sideline. Not happy with the way this day has gone for him so far.
That is not the way the Seahawks wanted to start the second half. And to Tate back deep. Lets it go. Into the end zone for a touchback. A 60-yard punt. Dalton will go to work when we come back. Travaris Jackson and Charlie Whitehurst trying to get things straight over on the sideline. Meanwhile, the Bengals opening possession here in the second half. They lead by 14. Up the middle. Scott. Pickup of 1, and Andy Dalton put together a pretty nice first half.
Yeah,
out of TCU.
Yeah, he certainly did. Rookie or not, whether he's a rookie or 15-year vet, the one thing he is as good as anybody in the NFL is extending the play, buying himself some time with his feet, and then not giving up on the play and making it work. He is as good as anybody, even at this early part of his career, at keeping the play alive and making it work.
From the shotgun on 2nd and 9. Scott on the flat. Falls forward. Across the 21-yard line. Seahawks took a long, hard look at Andy Dalton with the 25th overall pick last April. Pete Carroll told us they really liked him at TCU, thought he'd have a great NFL career, but he said they decided they needed to get the offensive line settled first, and then if they didn't do that, it wouldn't matter who was playing quarterback.
That was a great move by Pete Carroll, too. And you look at the Seahawks offense, they've got 2 rookies starting on the right side that are very, very good. They've had their moments today where they gotten some penalties and maybe a hold, but those 2 young guys they drafted instead of Andy Dalton are excellent.
What about Pete's man at USC, Matt Barkley, perhaps? Under pressure, it's sacked. And that'll bring the crowd back to life. Anthony Hargrove, who signed with the Seahawks last month.
Well, with these 2 defenses, you knew it was just a matter of time before both quarterbacks felt the heat. Both Travaris Jackson and, of course, Dalton, although Dalton has sidled away from the pressure on a number of occasions and made the Seahawks pay for it, they finally got him.
Hargrove got him by the ankle, and then Clements came over to finish it off. Washington back deep to field the punt. This is an outstanding punt. Takes it at the 31-yard line. Reversing his field, trying to find a lane. And is out across the 40. to the 43-yard line. 11:23 left to go in the third. A 56-yard punt, 11-yard return. Halloween weekend here in Seattle.
It's the doorman of our hotel.
Good field position for Seattle as they try to get something going against this number 2 ranked Cincinnati defense. And these yards are tough to come by. Out across the 45-yard line, close to the 47. Pecco made the stop on Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and that's a bad graphic. Last 6 quarters, they've only got 6 points to show for it.
Pickup of 4 on the running play. Total yards close to even now after that burst from Seattle at the end of the first half. 2nd and 6. Play action. Jackson out into the flat. Down to the 43-yard line. Michael Robinson, the fullback.
And that was made possible by the hard play action from Jackson. Watch this. They convinced the Bengals it's a run. That gives Jackson plenty of time to drop back in the pocket. Find Robinson in the flat.
First down in Cincinnati territory. Let's go for 10 minutes remaining in the third. Lynch muscles his way down close to the 40.
Talk about the Bengals defense. It's all about that front 4. You get the safety pressure from Crocker early. They just collapse all over, force the turnover from Lynch and led to points. Mike Zimmer is an aggressive defensive play caller, and the guys he's got out there, the guys that they have brought in to play in this defense, give him the freedom to do that. They've got some real athletes up front.
And triple, 5-1, triple.
Offset I, 2nd and 8. Short drop for Jackson out to the sideline. Obamanu about a yard short of the first down. Leon Hall made the stop.
That play was forced by the defense. 2 defenders coming off the left side of the offense. Jackson saw it. Obamanu saw it. Obamanu broke his route off. Jackson threw him the football. They had to do that or Jackson was going to get sacked. And it's an automatic adjustment that both players have to see and have to adjust to, and they did it perfectly, and it gave them a chance for a 3rd and 1 instead of an incomplete pass or a sack. Great job by both those guys on offense.
Pickup of 7 on the previous play. 3rd and short. Lynch nowhere to go. Brandon Johnson was in the backfield in a hurry.
Right here, he comes up, times it, stops for a second. He just can't get there. Gallery can't get down. He timed it so perfectly. Robert Gallery can't step down to make the cutoff block. Well timed and well executed. And that's Mike Zimmer using the athletes in that front 7 to throw the offensive line off.
Brandon Johnson, a bigger part of the defensive game plan with Bauerluga out. So Ryan on the punt from midfield. High punt trying to get this inside the 5, and it bounces into the end zone for a touchback. 7:55 left to go in the third. Bengals continue to be impressive on defense. Midway through the third, Bengals go to work from their own 20, leading 17-3. Scott able to get away from one man, gets it out back to close to the 20-yard line. KJ Wright wrapped him up. Well, tonight on 60 Minutes, what did Bernie Madoff's family know about the biggest financial fraud in history? You'll hear all about it when his wife and son break their silence on 60 Minutes. Tonight, only CBS. Loss of 1, 2nd and 11. End around to Green. Tiptoeing up the sideline. And that was Andrew Hawkins. Hawkins, the undrafted rookie out of Toledo.
Yeah, the handoff, then the pitch. Andy Dalton getting this cut block right there. Trying to help out on...
Clemens did a pretty nice job extending that out. Hawkins is dangerous. Still a pickup of 6. And that'll bring up 3rd and 5. Brian Leonard in once again on 3rd down. Seahawks showing blitz. We're back out of it, rush 4. Dalton, center of the field in the seam. That's caught, and into Seattle territory goes Donald Lee. A 26-yard gain, and that silences the crowd.
It sure does, and Dalton steps right up in the pocket and just right down the middle of the formation, right down the same hash mark they were lined up on. Great job by Lee. Gets right around Hawthorne, who is in the game, but he's not quite 100% with a hamstring injury. Dalton kind of getting his little bit of swagger going there.
Donald Lee is in because Jermaine Gresham is inactive. 1st and 10. Stutter step by Scott. Falls forward to the 43-yard line of the Seahawks. A pickup of 6.
Yeah, Hawthorne busting through the line, trying to get to that play, and you think he'd probably make that in a normal game, but he's just not 100%. We spoke to him on Friday, and he played for a year with Andy Dalton at TCU, and he kind of made a telling statement around. He says that guy is not going to lose the game. He may not win it, but he's certainly not going to lose it.
They were both looking forward to playing against each other. Offset I formation on 2nd and 4. Dalton under pressure gets rid of it, incomplete. Sailed over the head of A.J. Green.
Really nice job by Chancellor there, letting up. Gonna run out and run the thin post right there.
He threw it maybe a little earlier than he wanted to because of the pressure from Raheem Brock.
No doubt. Ooh, that's almost a throwdown right there. That's both ends of that player, the modern NFL. The let up by Cam Chancellor not to lay that receiver out in A.J. Green, and then the defensive lineman not really giving 100% on the throw down of Dalton.
3rd and 4. They run the screen. Leonard. 2nd effort. And that may be enough for the 1st down. Hargrove finally brought him down.
Wow, that's the kind of season that Brian Leonard has had for the Bengals. Just a tough runner. Every so often they call on him, and it always seems to be on one of those 3rd downs where you just don't think the Bengals are going to be able to make it. All of a sudden they toss it to this guy, and he makes a tough, solid run to get it.
A pickup of 4 yards and a fresh set of downs for Cincinnati. Brian Leonard's made some big plays for the Bengals this season. Came in averaging over 9 yards a touch. Dalton to throw. Caldwell. And Caldwell was open. But Dalton again pressured by this Seattle front.
Yeah, Dalton let that go, but he never saw what happened at the end of it. He got a shot, and he ended up on his face in the backfield. Red Bryant put him right on his face.
He's taking some lumps today, but continuing to play like a veteran. 2nd and 10.
You can expect that play from the Bengals again. That was wide open.
Dalton up the right sideline. Intercepted! Richard Sherman was right there. A turnover by the Seahawks. Seattle takes over after the interception. Jackson incomplete. Anthony McCoy couldn't haul it in. It'll be 2nd and 10. Let's take another look, Steve, at the interception.
Well, I've never been one to stick up for quarterbacks, but I played a little bit of wide receiver And that's A.J. Green's fault. You got to stop that guy from catching the ball. Even if you tackle him, it doesn't matter if it's a blatant penalty or not. Take the penalty and drag that guy to the ground before he can catch it. That way, do anything you can.
Sherman played 3 seasons at wide receiver at Stanford before switching to defense. Jackson with time, and he's going deep. Obamanu has it! And it's a catch down to the 36-yard line. He had a couple of steps on Leon Hall. That was good for 55 yards.
And Leon Hall once again was looking for that back shoulder throw and didn't get it, and it caused separation, and Obamanu made the catch. Great throw by Jackson, right on the money, right on the sideline. Great play for Seattle.
Obamanu over 100 yards on his 4th reception. Yeah, the Seattle defense has kept the Seahawks in it. Jackson.
Well, Leon Hall did a great job on that. He's stuck right at home and forced Jackson to turn that ball inside, and a quarterback having to run it, then you turn him inside to where the violence is. He's going to go down like that. The smart ones do, particularly one who's not 100% physically.
Jackson signed after the lockout when things didn't work out with Matt Hasselbeck. Pete Carroll feels like he has a good command of the Seahawks offense. Thinks his arm is underrated. Keep it on the ground. Running room on the right side. And a first down from Marshawn Lynch.
Now, this is more the type of offense that Seattle wants to run. They got to stay balanced, and they really missed Lynch last week in Cleveland. To have him go out in pregame warmups when they fully expected to have him really hurt their ability to move, and I think it was a contributing factor to Charlie Whitehurst struggling so badly was the fact that Lynch was lost at the last moment. Having him back this week really means a lot.
Reggie Nelson tripped him up after a gain of 9. So the Seahawks are on the move, trailing by a couple of touchdowns. Jackson quickly out to Rice in space. And Rice is down to the 10-yard line. Crocker and Scuda made the stop, but a pickup of 15.
Another way to get the football outside to Ray Rice, or Sidney Rice. Great job. That's so many teams run those plays now to get the best guy with the ball in his hands. It's really like a running play. Just get the ball to him and let him make yards after the catch. Sensational job by Sidney Rice.
Spotted at the 10, so first and goal. Lynch. Second effort, picked up maybe a half yard. Pat Sims made the stop.
You talk about Marshawn Lynch, the way he runs the football. You know, the fans here in Seattle got to know him really well last year. Once he was traded from Buffalo, he came in, and then the signature run in that playoff game a year ago solidified his spot as really a favorite here in Seattle. And the guy refuses to go down like no other back in the NFL.
Second and goal. Spotted just inside the 10.
Run,
Tate is the motion man. They swing it out to him, trying to set up the screen. And out of bounds. Reggie Nelson made the stop.
Just another way to run the football wide on a defense that's really tough down inside.
That was good for 2.
Yeah, you think about this offense and how much they go to the no huddle here in Seattle. They've been pretty effective huddling up here in the third quarter.
So third and goal for the Seahawks. So far they've been held to just a field goal. Jackson on the move. Lost it, but Rice calls it in, but he was out of the end zone.
Oh, it was very close. Very close. Obamanu was trying to help the officials. Look at the touch pass that Jackson puts out there, and wait a minute. Oh, he didn't have control of it. to me, yeah, that bobble right there means he didn't get the catch. The ball moved once he landed with it, and that means there's no catch. Even if he had his feet in bounds, he didn't have control of it.
So Hauska from 25 yards out. He has one field goal today. Get the snap off, and the boot is good. 3 points for the Seahawks. 17-6 here late in the third. Some life in the Seattle offense after that drive that resulted in a field goal. Steven Hauska kicks it away. Tate 3 yards deep in the end zone. Kicks his way out across the 20 to the 23-yard line. We've reached the end of the third quarter. Bengals lead at 17-6. We'll return after this message. And a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. And 11-point Cincinnati lead as we start the final quarter of play. Bengals will operate from their own 23-yard line. Scott finally gets it to the outside, but then pushed out of bounds by Brandon Browner.
This Bengals offense, and I said it early in the broadcast, all season they have had the ability, or the luxury really, of running the ball when they wanted to run it and only throwing it when they wanted to throw it. And it's been the same today. They have been able to stay in manageable situations, excluding the penalties that they've incurred. But when they get the ball in their hands, they run it very well, even with Scott rather than Benson in the game.
Benson out, serving a one-game suspension. Dalton has to get rid of it. Incomplete. Green couldn't stay in bounds.
You see Dalton looking at the official, wondering if he's going to get a little help there. Just couldn't get enough on it. He's getting pressured, and that to me is a launch.
Chris Clemens
coming after him. They both looked at the official, wondering if that was a call. There's no question it was borderline, but there was no call.
So 3rd and 7. And really, this is about all you can ask of your defense. Give your offense a chance, and so far they've done that. Bengals are going to take a timeout. Back to Seattle after this. Dalton changing things up. Fires, and that's caught for a first down by Caldwell.
And that's all Andy Dalton. Change the play, let the offensive line change protection, change the route on the outside. Great route against the perfect coverage to run it against.
9 yards on 3rd and 7, so that moves the chain for the Bengals. Just underway here in the fourth quarter. Scott, left side, darts back in, has a burst and is out close to midfield, and another Cincinnati first down before Cam Chancellor, the strong safety, brought him down. A pickup of 13.
And it looked like it was going to come from the inside, going to be an inside run, but watch as Scott right there cuts it up right through the defense. And you see here, great job of tucking the football, getting the other arm on it, has it in the proper arm to begin with, doesn't want to give up the turnover. Bernard Scott has been exactly what the Bengals hoped he would be today.
High formation, they run the slant to Green, incomplete. Again, good coverage by Sherman. Richard Sherman, rookie, 5th-round pick out of Stanford, big corner at 6'3".
Two rookies going against each other.
Brandon Browner over on the other side is 6'4". 2nd and 10. High formation. Presley is the fullback. See if they come off the edge. They do. Toss it back to Scott. Trapped but gets away. And into Seattle territory.
And the Seahawks thought they might get a delay of game penalty, but they did not. And Bernard Scott just does a nice job, a little bit like his quarterback. The pressure was all around him. He just kind of stepped away from it once, stepped away from it again, and then made a little something out of what looked to be nothing. It's 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8, but that play looked like it was going to turn into a 3rd and 12.
Jay Gruden, let's see what he has dialed up. On 3rd and 7, they're going long. Intercepted! Cam Chancellor, and the play is still alive. And finally brought down at the 21-yard line. A.J. Green was the intended receiver. It popped up in the air, and Chancellor came down with it.
Well, like I said earlier, sometimes the receiver's got to help his quarterback out. A.J. Green goes up to battle for this football, and if you can't catch it, make sure they don't it. And Green's got really good ball skills, but I think it's a good job by the official not to call this play dead.
And again, a nice defensive play by the rookie Sherman.
Now, Chancellor comes down with it, but I think he stepped out of bounds at about the 22 once he got up. And you see, he thought he was down because of the contact, but the officials let it roll. Dalton, his second interception here in the second half, one of which I thought could have been avoided with his receiver. That one was a pretty good defensive play.
And again, the Seahawks defense comes up big. 1st and 10 from the 21. Jackson gets rid of it, and that was almost picked off. Chris Crocker had perfect position on Cameron Moore, the tight end.
Yeah, Crocker, we saw him get the sack in the first half. Now he gets a chance to show his pass coverage skills. Great job staying underneath. When the receiver turns around to look, he does too.
So 2nd and 10 after the incomplete pass.
Money.
Seahawks, for the 2nd straight week, have been held out of the end zone. They keep it on the ground. Lynch to the 24-yard line.
Question if you want the quality of the running game for Seattle, but I think it's a good thing they stay committed to it because it does help your pass protection. When that defense has got their ears pinned back and they know you're not throwing it or not running it, just being able to stay committed to it, and then when you go play action, it really does help Jackson have more time in the pocket.
3rd and 6 after a pickup of 4. Empty backfield. And again, movement before the snap.
That might be Max Unger. I mean, everybody moved for Seattle except the center.
False start, offense, number 16. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
They called that on the wide receiver, Chris Durham, rookie out of Georgia.
They're calling on the youngest guy. He was one of many. They had so much movement on that. It looked like the Persian army. I mean, look, everybody moves. I mean,
3rd and 11. Empty backfield again. They rush 4. Jackson has time. Oh, what a catch. Doug Baldwin. Undrafted out of Stanford, he came in today as Seattle's leading receiver with 20 catches for 330 yards. And that's a big one there for 31.
Gets a tremendous release on Jennings, and it's right down the sideline. Tremendous catch to go up and battle for that. When you see the safety coming over to also help on the tackle, he's looking right at him. He still has the guts to hang in there and make that catch. Great job.
Kelly Jennings signed from Seattle, where he started 14 games here for the Seahawks last season. Split backs, Lynch and Robinson. Jackson, other sideline. Rice, he's got it. Sidney Rice. Leon Hall had the coverage and brought him down.
Well, this is a throw that Didn't look that good, but wow, Sidney Rice makes a great adjustment on a ball that looked like it had interception written all over it. But because Rice got a good look at it early in the route before it got there, he could adjust. Leon Hall could not, and it turned into a great reception.
A 35-yard gain. 1st and 10 for the 14. Jackson right back to work. Tate falls forward to the 5. Pickup of 9.
Well, you can say what you want, but for some reason, all of a sudden, the Seahawks have a pretty good offense going here, and you can feel the tempo picked up. Jackson has some time in the pocket. He's picking his targets, and the ball's coming out on time, and he's got guys running open. And it's a huge difference from what we saw in the first half and also last week in Cleveland.
Seahawks threatening after a couple of big plays. Lynch out of bounds. Driven out at the 3 by Hall.
Well, he got the first down, but that'll give you an idea of the kind of back that Lynch is. He runs. Well, they call it beast mode. And he runs like that. I mean, the guy is a monster when he gets the ball in his hand. Like I said earlier, he's like no other back in the league. When he gets hit the first time, he is not going to go down. He will fight for every yard, and sometimes you'll get 7 guys taking a shot at him in the tackle. He doesn't care.
They put it at the 2, 1st and goal. Lynch cuts it back. Touchdown, Seattle!
Seattle's going to go for 2 here, trailing by 5 after the touchdown. And a nice drive by Seattle using the big play, the pass plays down the sideline, the short passes to get down close, and then handing it to their running back twice in a row to get the first down and the touchdown.
They'll go for 2 to make it a 3-point game. To the end zone. Incomplete. It looked like Obamana was going to be able to bring it in, but at the last instant, Nate Clements knocked it away. So no 2-point conversion for the Seahawks, but they are in the end zone. Just under 9 minutes remaining, 17-12 after the Seattle touchdown. Tate is back deep, 6 yards deep in the end zone. He brings it out. A nice move. And out to the 37-yard line goes Brandon Tate. Marshawn Lynch with the touchdown, a 2-yard run. It's a 5-point game. Halfway through the 4th. 1st and 10 for the Bengals after the 45-yard return at their own 38-yard line. Dalton, good play action, buys himself some time and then throws it to the sideline. We have a flag down at the 35-yard line. And another one out about the 40 of the Seattle Seahawks. Preliminary indication is holding.
That was the one in the secondary, was defensive holding. Then we got one up at the line of scrimmage after the play had rolled out and been thrown away.
Holding, defense, number 79. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
They call that on Red Bryant. Well, for those of you expecting to see 60 Minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS and the game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Seattle Seahawks. Bill McAtee along with Steve Tasker. Our score, Cincinnati 17, Seattle 12. 60 Minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately after the game, except on the West Coast, where it will be seen at its regularly scheduled time. So 1st and 10, now at the 43-yard line. Keep it on the ground. Scott. And Scott is loose. Into Seattle territory, down to the 41, close to the 40. Chancellor and Thomas, the 2 safeties, combined to make the stop.
Once again, Scott off the left side of the offensive line, jumps back inside. One missed tackle is all it takes for an extra 10 yards of running room. And Scott just like he did on that last run off the left side, hangs on with both hands. Seattle desperate for the football.
17 carries, 76 yards today for Scott, who started in place of Cedric Benson, serving a one-game suspension. 1st and 10. Down inside the 40.
Total, Cincinnati has totally pulled in the sails a little bit there on that first down play. 2 tight ends, 1 back, 2 wide receivers. They're going to run it right up inside the tackle, let the clock tick down, shorten the game a little bit, try to get into field goal range at least and come away with points. A field goal, even a field goal, changes everything for the Seahawks.
And it's an 8-point game, and you need a touchdown to go for 2. 2nd and 9. Dalton. Chase from the pocket. Flag down the opposite side of the field. The pass is incomplete. Intended for Green. Penalties on the near side at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, clear away on the opposite side of the field from where the ball was thrown. Way back away from where Dalton was looking. And you can tell by the
Robbie Williams.
Well, the quarterback was in the pocket. Illegal contact. Defense number 25. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
They called that on Sherman, who's played a nice game.
Yeah, he really has. You're watching. This is going to be later into the play. You see there he pushes Simpson out of bounds, and that was past the 5-yard line. You can head it one time, but it has to be within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and that was further than that, and that's why the flag came in.
Just over 7 minutes remaining. 1st and 10. Keep it on the ground with Scott. Down inside the 33, close to the 32.
Once again, the Bengals just pounding away on first down. Huddling up, taking their time. You can tell by their body language. They are in no hurry to have this drive end. And they're going to use every second of the play clock as they'll break the huddle coming out with about 16 seconds left on the play clock. They'll get it all the way down inside of 5 seconds before they snap this.
Scott is alone in the backfield. They got it down to 3 seconds on the play clock. Good penetration and a loss on the play. Swarming defense led by Earl Thomas and Red Bryant, the big man.
Yeah, Raheem Brock is the guy that blows it up. Watch as he gets in there, right there. Scott breaks away from it to let Earl Thomas get there to make the tackle. The defensive front, the penetration is what kills the play. Great job by the Seattle defense. There's no give up in them, but they're running out of time to win it.
Inside of 6 minutes. 3rd and 10. Big play upcoming. Dalton again flushed from the pocket to the sideline. That's caught by Caldwell, but well short of the first down.
And they're going to let the clock run as he got knocked backward out of bounds rather than sideways out of bounds. As the clock will continue to run, and they'll bring out the field goal unit.
4th and 6.
And like I said earlier, even a field goal makes it into an 8-point game, which means the Bengals defense, even if they give up the touchdown, they'll have one more chance to keep the win and preserve the win with a 2-point conversion stop.
Officially 48 yards. On its way, plenty of leg and good. So with 4:50 left to go, it's an 8-point game. After the field goal by Nugent. 4:50 left to go. It's still a 1-possession game, but after the field goal, it's a touchdown and a 2-point conversion that the Seahawks need. Nugent's kick. Washington 4 yards deep. And smacked down hard at the 15-yard line. And tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and the interview of the Madoff family, followed by a new Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and CSI Miami. Tonight, only CBS. Travaris Jackson and the Seahawks will go to work at their own 15-yard line. All their timeouts remaining.
And once they get inside of 3 minutes on the game clock, I think this turns into 4-down territory for the Seahawks. They will not be able to give this football back to the Bengals with a punt or even a field goal attempt.
Jackson has sparked some life from the Seattle offense. Incomplete. We had Doug Baldwin running free. Let's get an update on New England and Pittsburgh. Let's go to JB in New York.
Well, with Tom Brady at the helm, the Patriots always have a shot, Shannon.
After a 4th down pass interference call keeps the Patriots drive alive. Aaron Hernandez, 1 yard from Tom Brady, 23-17. The onside kick was unsuccessful for the Patriots. Pittsburgh ball going the other way.
2:16 left in regulation. Bill McAtee and Steve Tasker.
All right, men, thank you very much. Steelers trying to put that away. Baldwin brought down at the 15 by Crocker.
And now it's decision time for the Seahawks. And knowing Pete Carroll, what we've seen of him just in this game, going for it at the end of the first half, trying to get the touchdown instead of settling for the field goal. You kind of think maybe this is 4-down territory. They haven't had too many shots here in the second half. They've made the most of them going in for the score last drive, but they're running out of time.
Just over 4 minutes remaining. Jackson. Now he's flushed in the pocket. He's going to be sacked. He couldn't get away from Carlos Dunlap.
And within, you saw Dunlap come in and just with the grip had enough to get him down. It looked like for a moment Jackson was going to get away from him, but Dunlap on a great individual effort working against James Carpenter, the right tackle, gets the sack.
4th and 18, so we'll see the punting unit. Ryan's punt. Fielded at the 43-yard line by Tate, and he's got some room up the sideline. Tate will score! Wow! 56 yards.
For the second week in a row, the Seahawks have been bitten by the special teams bug. Last week, they got a phantom block in the back that brought a touchdown for them back. This week, they give up the touchdown, the great touchdown run to Brandon Tate. And that is icing on the cake for the Bengals.
And remember, the first touchdown was set up by a 65-yard punt return by Adam Jones. Another big return here to apparently ice things for Cincinnati. Nugent on to try the extra point. He's got it. 3:22 left to play. 27-12 Cincinnati.
Well, it was an excellent punt. There's no question about it. I thought it was a great punt for the situation. But Tate takes it, split 2 defenders on the far side, and then broke that tackle.
The 2 rookies.
Those guys, I mean, how fun must it be to be Andy Dalton and A.J. Green coming into the league and tearing it up?
Brandon Tate had a couple of kickoff returns for touchdowns when he was with New England, but that's his first career punt return for a touchdown.
And for a guy in Travaris Jackson who came into this game not really planning on being the guy, as you look at the standings of the AFC North, Jackson coming in thinking, well, he was a stopgap emergency guy, came in right at the start of the second quarter, and it took him about a quarter to find himself. Just before halftime, they kind of got it together, and then in the second half, the Seahawks really outshined the Bengals offense. Seahawks with 331 yards to 253 for the Bengals overall, and that's Travaris Jackson doing it.
Pittsburgh is ahead by 6, so they could maintain their half-game lead. Nugent. Pooch kick. Forsett. And he's spun down at the 33-yard line. And next Sunday, the NFL on CBS brings you regional action, including Mark Sanchez and the Jets against the Bills. Tim Tebow and the Broncos take on Carson Palmer and the Raiders, or the Bengals and the Titans. Check your local listings for the game in your area, beginning with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. So the Seahawks take over, 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line, trailing 27-12. Jackson, middle of the field, Baldwin with the catch. Out at the 49-yard line.
Baldwin with another catch. Really a great find by the Seahawks. That guy has really helped them as a young rookie.
5 receptions for 73 yards, unable to bring that one down.
So much has been made about A.J. Green and his contribution to the Bengals, and we talked about as you saw him on the sidelines with Dalton. So has this young guy, Doug Baldwin, been for Tarvaris Jackson, the Seahawks, in a difficult offensive year. He's come on very well for them.
Undrafted out of Stanford, and we've got yet another false start.
Number 76, 5-yard penalty remains, 2nd down.
They call it on Russell Okung. 1st-round draft pick last year. The executive producers of the NFL on CBS are Sean McManus and Harold Bryant. Today's game produced by Victor Frank, directed by Andy Goldberg. The senior producer of CBS Sports in the NFL Today is Eric Mann. The NFL Today is directed by Bob Matina. The coordinating producer of the NFL on CBS is Lance Barrow. 2nd and 15 for Seattle. Just about done. Cameron Mora, rather, makes the catch in Cincinnati territory, a pickup of 8.
They got a stoppage here. The officials get aligned.
2.5 minutes remaining.
We spoke to Pete Carroll on Friday, and we walked around the building, watched them practice. Very spirited practice, very energetic.
Jackson, that's caught. Rice dives forward to the 35-yard line. Kelly Jennings made the stop. See if that gets us to the 2-minute warning.
And even though that it may not turn out that on the way of the Seahawks today, they have a good vibe in their building, and I think Pete Carroll has them in the right direction, even though it hasn't shown itself just yet.
We have reached the 2-minute warning. 27-12. Marvin Lewis will move past Sam Weish as the Bengals all-time winningest head coach with the victory today. 27-12, Cincinnati. Jackson slings it out over the head of Cameron Moore, the tight end.
When you talk about Marvin Lewis in his 9th year as head coach, you see their upcoming games. This next month for this Bengals team is nothing short of enormous.
Tennessee, Pittsburgh, at Baltimore, and home against Cleveland. 2nd and 10. Almost an outstanding catch by Mora, but incomplete.
And you think about Marvin Lewis and this Cincinnati team as they move forward, probably at 5-2 after this game, as Jackson once again is run by what I think is categorized as a drop, which is verging on a half dozen for the day for the Seahawks. But Marvin Lewis, I think for the first time in his 9 years, this is his kind of team. Strong defense, solid, dependable offense, and there's no question, the atmosphere in this locker room is like no other Bengals team that Marvin's been a part of.
Tried to set up the screen, and that was almost intercepted. Near disaster. Dunlap, who's had a big day, was waiting, and Jackson slow getting up.
You'll see here, tries to backpedal as fast as he can, but man, that got Frosty Rucker came in so fast he couldn't get away from him in time. You see how Rucker lands on his left leg.
And Jackson limping off, and Whitehurst will come back in, and this will not be a positive greeting.
Well, Charlie Whitehurst started this game, but there's a reason Tavares Jackson was in.
4th and 10. Incomplete, and it will go over on downs. Miller was the intended receiver, and he couldn't go down and get it.
That wasn't all that bad a throw, but it's all for naught for the Seahawks as the Bengals. The minute 40, well, the Seahawks have 3 timeouts left, so they theoretically could stop it, stop the clock. Right here's the Tavares Jackson injury as Rucker comes in, drags him down, and lands on the outside of his leg.
So the Bengals will take over from their own 35-yard line. Try to run out the clock with 1:40 left. Scott has played well today for Benson. Coordinating producer of CBS Sports is Steve Karasik. The associate directors of today's games are Bill Thayer and Kamani Morales. The broadcast associate, Tyler John. The technical manager, Warren Palmer. Our technical director is Ed Collins. The audio supervisor is Pete Adams. And stats provided by Joe Night Train Sullivan and Gary Brown. And our spotter is Brett Bender. And again tonight on CBS begins with the 60 Minutes interview of the Madoff family. That's followed by a new Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and CSI Miami. Tonight, only CBS. Scott.
Seattle continuing to burn their timeouts. That's the second. And it says a lot about a coach and his time in the league when you get to the point where you're head coach of a franchise and you win more than anybody who's ever held your job, including a legendary Paul Brown. And Marvin Lewis has done an outstanding job, and it's a real reflection of today's game, the kind of team that they put together. And you think about it, how poised they are to get better and better. It's not like Marvin Lewis is, in his 26th year as head coach looking at retirement. This guy, I think, is in his wheelhouse.
Continue to look at Tavares Jackson over on the sideline. Talked to Marvin yesterday, and he seemed just very relaxed. Different atmosphere than a year ago in the Cincinnati locker room. There was a lot of tension, but he's got some young guys with a lot of talent. And they're going to be 5-2 after today in a 4-game winning streak. Dalton keeps it. Dives forward. Back to the 35-yard line, and Seattle will use their last timeout. And let's check in for an update on New England and Pittsburgh. Here's JB.
Shannon, an alert and opportunistic Steelers D.
Yes, you see Tom Brady's trying to buy time, JB. He's trying to allow his receivers to get down the field. But Brett Kiesel keeps working, bats the ball out of his hand. Troy Polamalu alerts it. Well, he's not supposed to do this, but he did. Batted towards the end zone. Ziggy Hood recovers it. Looks like it's a safety, but they are reviewing the play. Whatever happens, JB,
it has been ruled a safety. You got it. All right, back to Bill McAtee and Steve Tasker.
Fumblerooski.
So Baltimore wins today. Pittsburgh's going to win. And the Bengals will keep pace.
And that also allows the Buffalo Bills to pull to a tie, actually a half-game lead, the head-to-head with the New England Patriots in the AFC East.
Short punt, fielded by Washington. And brought down at the 41-yard line. Seattle with no timeouts remaining. That was a 37-yard punt and a 12-yard return.
And Tavares Jackson coming back out, and I'll tell you what, I tip my hat to him. Come out on a tough day, you walked off, nobody would have looked sideways at you if you couldn't come back after getting your leg tweaked on a sack like you did. To come out and finish this game like this, I like it. I like it as a leader, and I like it as a tough guy and a quarterback. It says something about your franchise.
And Baldwin hit immediately. Couldn't haul it in. Chris Crocker delivered the blow.
Good route, got in on him a little bit, should have been caught, but Chris Crocker, who's had a very nice football game today with a sack in the first half that kept that defense off the field.
Center of the field into Cincinnati territory goes Zach Miller. Gets it to the 45-yard line. Clock continues to run inside of a minute remaining. That was good for 15 yards.
Marvin Lewis, the head coach.
Intercepted. Jackson was leveled as he released the football. And up the sideline goes Reggie Nelson, and he's going to score.
Well, you know, on offense, when you win the game, you kneel down. Defenses don't kneel down. They take it to the house.
75 yards on the return.
Jackson throws this after getting hit right in the midsection, getting doubled over by a shot to the stomach, and he throws it right into the arms of Nelson. Watch this hit by Geno Atkins. And watch this. He gets up and chases him down, too. I'll tell you what. I like Tarvaris Jackson.
Nugent with the extra point.
It's been a rough day for him, been a rough season for the Seahawks, but I like that guy.
The Bengals defense had 2 defensive touchdowns coming into today. Week 5 at Jacksonville. Geno Atkins, who we saw with the pressure, a 10-yard fumble return on the game's final play. And then week 6 against the Colts, Carlos Dunlap showing a burst, a 35-yard fumble return for a touchdown. And a moment ago, Reggie Nelson, the former Jaguar, 75 yards the other way.
Now you look at the Bengals numbers today, they've got 324 return yards. Kickoff returns, punt returns, and also an interception return, plus they got a couple of touchdowns out of it. Great punt return by Tate. A great punt return by Adam Jones, who set up their first score of the game. I mean, it was just all over it in special teams for the Bengals today, and it turned up at the end of the game to help them in a big way.
34-12. And the Seahawks have some work to do. And the kickoff sails out of the end zone with 36 seconds left.
And there it comes again. $21 for 40, 323, 1 interception we just saw. And really the only production they've had in 2 weeks has been behind Tarvaris Jackson. He did not expect to play today, didn't practice very much all week, came in, and it took him a little bit to find himself, but there's no question this is his team.
Seahawks will fall to 2-5. Bengals will go to 5-2 and still on his feet. Washington out to the 47-yard line. Clock continues to run. 15 seconds remaining. That was good for 28 yards. Marvin trying to calm everybody down.
He's a typical defensive coach, and it's not over till it's over when you're on defense.
And they don't snap it. And that will do it. 34-12, our final score. Tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes, followed by a new Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and CSI Miami. So for Steve Tasker, this is Bill McAtee, and our entire CBS Sports team say so long from Seattle. You've been watching the NFL NFL on CBS. The Bengals with the win.